Ladies and gentlemen, good day and welcome to the Q2 FY22 earnings conference call of Relaxo Footwears Limited, hosted by Motilal Oswal Financial Services Limited. As a reminder, all participant lines will be in the listen-only mode, and there will be an opportunity for you to ask questions after the presentation concludes. Should you need assistance during the conference call, please signal an operator by pressing star, then zero on your touchtone phone. Please note that this conference is being recorded. I now hand the conference over to Mr. Sumant Kumar from Motilal Oswal Financial Services Limited. Thank you and over to you, sir.
Good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of Motilal Oswal, I would like to welcome all to Relaxo Footwear Q2 FY22 conference call. From the management, we have with us today Mr. Ramesh Dua, Managing Director, Mr. Ritesh Dua, Executive Vice President Finance, Mr. Gaurav Dua, Executive Vice President Marketing, Mr. Sushil Batra, CFO, Mr. Vikas Tak, Company Secretary. So we'll begin the call with a brief discussion from the management end, and then we can open the floor for the Q&A. Over to you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Sumant. Good afternoon to everyone. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for attending our earnings call for the Q2 FY 2022. We have already shared our earnings, press release and results presentation. Hope you got an opportunity to go through that. I will start with Q2 FY 2022 financial performance, followed by H1 FY 2022 financial performance. In Q2 FY 2022, Relaxo booked operating revenue of rupees 714 crore as compared to rupees 576 crore, which is a growth of 24% year on year. EBITDA during the quarter stood at rupees 117 crore as compared to rupees 127 crore during the corresponding period of previous year. EBITDA decreased mainly due to steep increase in raw material prices, enhancement of marketing, brand promotion and other administrative expenses as compared to corresponding period of last year, wherein raw material prices were extremely low. Other income stood at rupees 7 crore as compared to rupees 5 crore in the corresponding period in the previous year. The increase is mainly due to higher interest income on investment during the quarter. Our profit after tax was rupees 69 crore for the quarter as compared to rupees 75 crore during the corresponding period of previous year. For the first half of FY 2022, we registered revenue of rupees 1212 crore as compared to rupees 939 crore in the corresponding period of the previous year. EBITDA was at rupees 183 crore as compared to rupees 184 crore in the corresponding period of the previous year. Our profit after tax was rupees 100 crore for the first half of FY 2022 as compared to rupees 99 crore during the corresponding period of previous year. At the end of September 30th, 2021, we have 400 exclusive brand outlets which contributed around 6% to our H1 FY 2022 revenues. Exports are also picking up with opening of market and contributing more than 3.5% of revenue in H1 FY 2022. Going forward, we are cautious about the inflationary trend in the raw material prices, which has further intensified and has reached elevated levels impacting gross margins. However, we are taking all possible measures to mitigate its impact on margins, including timely price increase. We will continue our effort to grow our presence in untapped and under-penetrated market and focus on strengthening our brands. We can now open the floor for questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We will now begin the question and answer session. Anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and one on your touchtone telephone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may press star and two. Participants are requested to use handsets while asking a question. Ladies and gentlemen, we will wait for a moment while the question queue assembles. The first question from the line of Tejas Shah from Spark Capital. Please go ahead.
Hi, and thanks for the opportunity and season greetings to the team. Sir, my first question pertains to the slide that you have shared in your presentation, the data on realization increase YOY. It has been a very, very sharp increase, and despite that, we have seen kind of margin pressure in the quarter. So first of all, how should we think about this price increase and consumer reaction to that, A? And how should we think about margins based on this price increase going forward?
The way things are, the raw material prices are still on the increase. They are yet to stabilize, although it was hoped that in the third quarter things will stabilize. But now still things are volatile, and we are keeping a watch on it from day-to-day basis, and accordingly we are revising our prices. But at the same time, naturally, when there is unprecedented increase, there is always a consumer resistance. So we are cautious while increasing our prices. So we have been able to absorb part of the raw material increase in cost, but we have to also be mindful of the competition and take step appropriately accordingly. So we are taking our price increases accordingly from time to time. Already twice we have increased the price in the past. A third is also being planned, and accordingly we will keep on acting the way things are turning out to be.
Sure. So how much price increase have we taken so far in the year?
Around 15%.
This is weighted average across portfolio.
Yeah.
Okay. And sir, have we? You spoke about inflation still being high. So have we taken again after reporting this quarter number? Have we taken in October, November so far?
In October, yes, we have taken some price increase.
Okay. And are the price increases taken so far protect our margin at current level, or we need to take further interventions to bring back it to previous levels?
No, because raw material prices have not stabilized so far. So we will have to always keep a note of it, and also we have to keep a note of the market situation. So accordingly, we will keep on taking appropriate actions.
Sure. So second question pertains to how is demand reacting to this price increases, and what's your read on the demand scenario, because we are getting very divergent views on rural demand and non-urban demand as well. So just wanted to check your sense on what's your read on the demand environment.
Well, it is just for the time being, demand is being affected because people don't want to keep stock of those things. They just want to reduce their inventory in the pipeline because, there have been 2 price increases. Third also we have taken. So even in the market, there are 2-3 MRPs floating in the market. So inventory in the pipeline is reducing. So for the time being, there is some effect on the demand that we are witnessing. And I think in the coming time when the pipeline stock will reduce, then our demand will also improve.
Yeah. And so last one, bookkeeping kind of question. What percentage of our turnover comes from below 1,000 rupees MRP as on last year or as on half year this year?
90. Around 90%.
It's around 90%, yes.
Okay. So how do you see, sir, this GST changes which have been made, and how do you see that impacting demand going forward?
Well, it is for everybody. It is not for our company. So whatever GST government is proposing, so accordingly we will take appropriate action on that.
Yeah.
Well, in the short term, we may find some consumer resistance, but after all, it is for everybody.
Okay, sir. Okay, this is very helpful. Thanks and all the best. I'll come back in queue for further questions.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, You may press star 1 to ask a question. The next question is from the line of Gaurav Jogani from Axis Capital. Please go ahead.
Thank you for the opportunity, sir. So my first question is with regards to, the demand for the open footwear. Last year, we have seen a lot of strong demand for your open footwear, especially led by, the rural side. And now the things being normalizing this year, and, the schools and the offices also opening up. So how do you see the demand pattern changing going ahead?
Yeah, demand of open footwear, there are two kinds of things. One is closed footwear, another is open. Open consists of sandals and slippers. Now the demand of what we find that the people who are now starting moving outside, outdoor, so those articles, whether it is sports sandal or it is a sports shoes, they are going up. And meanwhile, the demand of slippers, that has gone down this year. Because last year everybody was indoors, so those articles were selling more. So that is the change that we are witnessing this year.
Okay. And sir, with your portfolio being, tilted more towards the open footwear, so do you see a resultant impact on your volumes or sales to that extent for this year at least?
Yeah, because slipper numbers will definitely be less than what it was earlier demand. So, and the shoe division is growing more. So that will have some effect.
Sure, sir. And so the next question, is with regards to, so your margin last year has seen very sharp expansion, I mean, it was even higher above the historical average. But what sort of stable margins, as a company do you envisage? I mean, I understand that there are two extremes. Last year, the margins was expanded very high, and this year it's been impacted due to RM inflation. But what kind of stable margins going ahead do you expect for the company?
Yeah, you're right. Last year, raw material prices were very, benign. And this year, it is unprecedented increase. So that is definitely telling upon our margins. So last year, it was unusually high, but this year, what I think, around 70% should be all right this year.
Okay. So going ahead, 70% margins should be a steady state margins what we can target.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And sir, with regards to, you have been telling in the opening remarks, that the focus is on increasing the presence in the untapped markets. So any light that you can throw of which all markets have you now expanded to, and, how has the mix changed for you over the last 1.5 to 2 years in the product wise segment also is?
So what we have seen is now South market started performing. Reason because the South was the only market which opened up last. So Kerala being locked down for one year and 3 months, now it has opened up. So we are seeing demand recovery coming from South market more. And e-commerce also have done well. E-commerce is also doing pretty well now.
And so what would be the contribution for e-commerce now for your overall sales?
We are doing 10% e-commerce.
Okay. And sir, in terms of the margin profile, is e-commerce a lower margin channel vis-a-vis, your regular MBO channel to that extent, given, there are returns and there is also the e-com player margin also there. So how do the margin differ between the channels?
No, we try to keep it same margin across all the channel, be it e-commerce, modern trade or wholesale. Because otherwise the goods will flow from here, one category to another category, So we try to keep the same margin.
Okay. Sure. So thank you. That's all from me.
Thank you. A reminder to all participants, you may enter star 1 to ask a question. The next question is from the line of Nirav Raji from DNK Securities. Please go ahead.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, sir. Sir, this is just more from a longer term perspective regarding the kids footwear segment. I mean, I just wanted to know your views regarding the long-term prospects of the branded segment of the kids footwear. I've just read certain reports which indicate like the kids footwear, given that the sizes keep changing, the inclination towards branded wear is low. So wanted to know your perspective firstly on the market, and also where does Relaxo stand in this segment, and also any inputs on the margin side.
So presently, whatever category we are in, whether it is our Bahamas, Relaxo slippers, Flight, or Sparks, in all category we do make articles which are meant for kids, and we are keeping a tab whatever demand or things are changing. Accordingly, we are introducing our article and capturing our demand and supplying the market.
Sure, sir. Just anything on the long-term growth aspects of the kids wear segment. Any outlook on that front as a key player? Where do you see that market growing in the next 5 years? We can say.
So what we find, it is growing at a normal pace. Maybe in certain category, high fashion or maybe different category, it may be there. But as far as we are concerned, what we are in, it is a normal kind of a growth that we are witnessing.
Stable growth.
Sure, sir. That's it from my side. Thank you so much.
Thank you. A reminder to all participants, you may enter star one to ask a question. The next question is from the line of Yash Mehta from Chanakya Capital. Please go ahead.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. Sir, Relaxo has done very well in the value segment over the years. So, are there any plans to enter into the premium segment, which has a price of about 1,500, 2,000? So, is Relaxo looking to expand into the premium segment, and what are your views on the premium segments?
We have our articles above 1,000 in our Sparks brand, and that is what we are doing. And in other categories also, whether it is Bahamas, in every category we have premium articles based on the price segment we are in. So that is accordingly we keep on developing premium articles in every category, whether it is Flight or it is Bahamas or Sparks. In 1,000 plus, it is only where shoes are there. Here it is 1,000 plus. That we are also taking care and focusing on that, and we will continue to do that.
Okay. And sir, with improving logistics, do you think that the operating cycle will get better over the time?
Can you repeat?
With improving logistics, is it possible that the operating cycle will get better over the time?
Logistics, actually, there is no major change in terms of improvement in logistics. So it's government prerogative, when they improve the infrastructure and how the time will be reduced. So it's a long process. So maybe after 5 years we can say about it, but right now we are just following whatever is there.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir. That's all from my side.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Mithili Balakrishnan from Alchemy Capital. Please go ahead.
Thank you for the opportunity. I just had a question around the 4 different brands. Could you just help us understand how each of these brands have performed over the first half of the year?
Can you speak a little loudly, please?
Sorry, I'll just repeat what I said. I just wanted to get a sense of how the 4 brands have performed for us. How has Sparks, Bahamas, Flight, and the main Relaxo brand done?
Yeah, so if you talk about Sparks brand, it is doing pretty well because last year the demand was subdued because it is more of an outdoor category and premium category. So people were not moving out. Now people started moving out. Sparks brand overall is doing much better than the other brands. Secondly, in Flight we have 2 categories. One is outdoor and one is home brand, which is we call Flight EVA and Flight Pure. So outdoor brands across all 4 categories are doing much better compared to what it was last year.
Got it. And if you could also help us understand, what would be the contribution of each of these 4 brands to the total revenue?
It is around, Hawaii segment like Bahamas and Relaxo around 25%. And rest is almost equal between Flight brand and Spark brand.
So Hawaii plus Bahamas is 25 and rest is equally shared again between
Flight and Sparks.
The Flight and Sparks, almost.
Flight and Sparks. Also, just wanted to get a sense from you that, in terms of Sparks especially, we are seeing a lot more advertisement which is focused on, being fit, being outdoors, but a lot more shoe type advertisement. So just wanted to get a sense from you, is that something that is going to be the next focus for the company in terms of looking at more from a, good sport shoe rather than, a more sandal kind of a thing which it was earlier?
So it's mixed actually. The sports segment is doing pretty well. Like there's a trend of athleisure. So there's a good trend. So sandals are doing pretty well in South India. People don't prefer too much of covered shoe over there. So it depends upon market also. Shoes is more for North and West, and sandal is more for South India. So both there we can see both sides.
What would be the mix between shoe and sandal?
Sandal is 60%, 40% is shoes.
Got it. And my last question was more on the unorganized / the imports which come in from China. Have you seen any disruption in them, and is that also some contribution that we can expect for growth going ahead for us?
So I think the freight cost from importing from China has gone up significantly. So for last 1.5 years, the supply has subdued, from China.
Got it. And that is
advantage for us. Yeah.
Got it. That's all I had. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Akhil Parekh from Elara Capital. Please go ahead.
Thanks for the opportunity. My first question is on the price hikes that we have taken and the inflationary environment that we have been talking about. In past phone calls, we had mentioned that there is a shift from unorganized to organized in this COVID times. Do we continue to see this trend given that the inflationary scenario is extremely strong at this time?
We are having good market share, but it's very difficult in an unorganized market to capture the data and try to find out. It is very difficult, As far as we are concerned, we can only focus on what we are doing, how we are doing the things in different markets. So, because share of that is totally not captured anywhere, it is very difficult to comment on that.
And not just unorganized, we have been hearing that some of the organized players also have been struggling over the last 8-10 months. Would it be fair to assume that we have gained market share from those weaker organized players?
Yeah, our market share is improving, but to what extent it is replacing unorganized, it is very difficult to comment.
Okay. But it is better than, say, a year or 2 years back. Okay.
You can say that. But you can't really you can't calculate, because things are not available in the open domain.
Sure. Second question is on the capacity front. On the presentation, I see we have mentioned at 7.5 lakh footwear pairs per day, and we have recently commissioned our Bhiwadi, Rajasthan capacity, which is at 1.5 lakh pair, and it takes 10 lakh pair per day. Currently, it's 9 lakh pairs per day, 10 lakh per day at this point of time.
So at present, we have declared its capacity 10 lakh. In the board meeting, it was approved. From October, it is 10 lakh. Earlier, it was 7.5 lakhs.
Okay, so we have added 2.5 lakh pairs.
Yes, we have added.
Okay, and the plant is already commissioned. The commercial sales have begun from the new unit.
Yes, it has. Yes, started.
Okay. So last question on ad spends. If you can please guide like how much it can be for this entire FY20 as a percentage of sales.
Can you repeat?
Your voice is not clear actually.
Yeah, so I'll repeat my question. The ads the percentage of sales, if you can please guide for the entire FY.
What, 4%? We are going to do 4% ad spends. percentage of revenue.
Okay. Okay, sir. That's from my side, and wishes for coming.
That's fine. That's fine.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Vikas Jain from Equirus Securities. Please go ahead.
Thank you so much, sir, for the opportunity. So my first question is with respect to our presence in the southern region or southern part of India. So, sir, can you just highlight as to what are the steps that you are taking with respect to expansion of our revenues from South India, mainly focusing on either other distribution expansion or retail outlet addition? What has been the pace over last, say, 1 year, or what was the pace 1 year back, and what is the current status as of now, and what are the growth plans mainly in the southern region, to grow in the southern region? I'll come up with the second question after this.
So in South India, there was a lot of lockdown. The lockdown was extended maximum in southern markets, especially Kerala. So now they have started opening up, and we are getting a demand recovery. So it's just recovery happening from South India. Once the recovery is done, then we'll start growing. Some markets we have already started taking steps and appointing distributor like Tamil Nadu.
Sure.
Which we are not.
If you could just give a ballpark figure as to like what was the revenues from the south probably 1 year or before the COVID time, and what are probably at a normalized run rate, what would be the revenues at this quarter or so? Any rough amount?
2 years back it was 10%, fell down to 7 to 8. Now we are back to 10.
Sure. Understood. And with respect to the distribution addition, means how has been the pace? What was it pre-COVID, and what is the current status?
So we just started distributor expansion of last 3 months onwards. So it's very early to say anything about that,
Sure. And one last question from my side, sir. As you mentioned in your opening remarks, the raw material inflation is incrementally hurting us. So any guidance that you would want to give for at least for next 1 or 2 quarters, or what would be a gross margin figure that we can come up with in H2?
Because raw material prices have not stabilized, so margin will continue to remain under pressure. So we are cautious of it and keeping a tab on the market conditions and accordingly taking our steps.
Understood. Okay, sir. Thank you so much, sir, for answering. Thanks.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Girish Pai from Nirmal Bang. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity. Firstly, I want to understand the mix of open and closed footwear in the first half of this year. If I recall, last year it was 85-15, and I think the year prior to that, FY20, it was 80-20. What was it in 1H FY22?
So if you talk about FY22, it rose to 90 and 10. Now it is back to 85 and 15.
So 85 and 15 is 1H, is it?
H1.
H1. Okay, it was 90-10 in FY21.
Q1, I think. Q1.
Yes. Okay, so you're talking Q1 and Q2.
Yeah.
Okay. Sir, the other thing I want to ask you is, over the years, I've looked at your presentations, and every time I see this 50,000 MBO, a standard number that I see in your presentation in terms of your penetration and distribution. So, have you not increased your penetration beyond the 50,000 number? Because I've seen your presentation 6 years back, it is still a 50,000 number.
Yeah, because of last 1.5 years, we are still able to maintain that, because there are a lot of outlets getting closed down. This COVID has created a havoc. We are just maintaining it. Once this, raw material prices, COVID outbreak, GST, all these things get settled, then we are able to give you the exact picture, how fast we are improving.
No, but even pre-COVID, I've seen for many years the numbers remain constant at about 50,000 any which way. My next question is...
Yeah, because, the outlets are same, but our presence have improved, in terms like, suppose our outlet used to keep 3 brands, now they're keeping 4 brands. So the depth has improved.
Okay. Sir, you made a claim that you increased market share. When I look at the volumes, it is down YOY. So is it that the market is down far more than you have done? I mean, when I look at the volumes that you sold in Q2 this year versus volumes in the year before that, they're down YOY. Is it that the market's volumes are down much more than you?
No, we can't say that. Main is demand of closed footwear this year has increased. The demand, overall demand of, open footwear has gone down because people are now moving out. So that is the reason. That's all.
Okay, I just one last question regarding competitive intensity. There are at least one IPO which is at least a couple of IPOs on the cards, Campus and Metro. Are you seeing any increased competitive intensity or competitive moves from either of these players, at least from the Campus's side, that you're seeing in the market, which is probably not letting you increase prices more than what you could have otherwise tried to do?
This Metro is totally different. We have nothing to do. Campus only one category, sports shoe. But we have our own space. Market is big. They have their own space. There's nothing of any alarm or concern.
So when you talk about, you have to watch the market when you take price hikes, who were you referring to specifically?
So there are so many brands in the market. And then we have to see consumer behavior also. So all these things we do take in mind, and accordingly we take our pricing decisions.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. The next question from the line of Divyata from Trident Capital Investments. Please go ahead.
Yeah, good afternoon, sir. Sir, my question was more pertaining to your product life cycle. If you could just help us understand from the product launch in terms of the conception to manufacturing, what colors and sizes would you generally, push to manufacture, and also the distribution, in which cities would you push more sizes and different colors, and the end product life cycle once the demand tapers off. So if you could please help us understand what is the product life cycle for your various brands.
You are asking about concept to launch?
Yeah, from launching to, say, from conception, like once you decide that you want to launch one product, to manufacturing, to distribution, and to end product life.
So it varies category to category. Sparx takes more time compared to basic Hawaii. So
okay.
We can't give generalized figure, but Sparx takes maximum time. You can say around 7 to 8 months compared to basic Hawaii, which takes 2 to 3 months.
Got it. So how do you determine into which colors or which sizes you want to push in which of the geographies, like in which of the regions?
So it depends. We get data from the marketing department, which state or which region, what preferences they have, which color, what sizes, the size of the feet. So all the data we have, accordingly we take the decision.
Okay, and have you extended your technology data? I was going through your past annual reports, and there is mention of various IT technologies which you've deployed to understand, the market behavior. So have you extended to your retail stores also, where you get a sense of what is the fast-moving product or what is the slow-moving product?
We do have SFA, which lies with the sale officers, and we have DMS, which is again software based, and it is at distributor point. So we get data from there only. What sizes are selling, what SKUs are doing well, which market performing how. So these two, we can say this is a technology piece what we use.
Okay, fine. And would you put some light on your competitors in the west and the eastern region? We keep hearing that VKC brand is also picking up, and on the western side, VKC and Paragon. Would you have some view on them?
The market is quite huge, So we have equal presence if you talk about in western market compared to Paragon and VKC. So they have some strong states of their own. We do also have our strong states.
Right, right. And the new facility, the facility addition that we have taken about, so that will be for any particular brand or particular open or a closed footwear, or it will be across like the additional 1.5 lakhs pair per day. Which product will be manufactured there?
These are some Relaxo Hawaii slippers, Bahamas, and some Spark slippers also.
Okay, and the idea of increasing the capacity on the western side is basically to cater to some newer markets which we are not already present?
No, it is overall, We have to overall increase our penetration, whether it is south, whether it is west, or even some unrepresented parts of north and east also.
Okay. Got it, sir. And sir, lastly, you did mention that the demand has not yet picked up. So in H2, would you see some wrapping up of demand, especially of the closed footwear?
No, now market has opened by and large all parts of India, and things are opening up. But I told there is a lot of resistance because of price increases that are happening. The raw materials are going up almost month after month. So there is resistance from consumer, from retailers, and they are liquidating the stocks which are in the pipeline. So that is it.
Got it. Okay, thank you. All the best, sir.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, you may press star 1 to ask a question. The next question is from the line of Yusuf Inamdar from Motilal Oswal Financial Services Limited. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, sir, for taking my question. Sir, I have a question. I have only one question from long-term perspective. So, if I look at the competitors, the average selling price of two of the largest footwear companies is in the range of 500 to 600, whereas ours is in the range of 125 to 150 rupees. So, can you just tell me, since we are beginning to focus more on closed footwears and high-end products, what could be? Can you just give me any idea or ballpark number? What could be our ASP in the next 3 to 4 years?
No, it will increase, but it will increase not at a regular pace in a what you call sustained manner, but don't expect it to increase substantially, because you should appreciate we are serving masses, and 85% business is for masses. Only 50% is the other. So ratio will remain what it is. So it will have some effect, some improvement, that's all.
Yeah, correct, sir. Sir, and one more thing, with respect to the number of exclusive brand outlets which we have at is around 400. So, is it safe to assume that gradually we'll be increasing our EBOs? So, is it safe to assume that slowly we are moving towards more of a retail model compared to the distribution model which we had earlier?
No. Presently, we are focusing more on multi-brand, and this 400 is a kind of our, what you call it, display come sale model, where strategically we understand the consumer behavior and understand what is the consumer psyche. Our business contribution from our retail is just 6%. So we'll continue accordingly only.
Okay, sir. Okay. Thank you, sir. That will be all, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Gaurav Jogani from Axis Capital. Please go ahead.
Thank you for taking my question again, sir. So my first question is regards to what are the key learnings from the COVID times? I mean, a lot of retailers we have seen have cut down on costs and have done process improvements during this COVID times. So if you can highlight 2 or 3 key initiatives that we have taken during COVID times and that can help in cost savings going ahead as well.
cost saving is an ongoing process. We have to always keep the company competitive, efficient, and that is going on. And even in this difficult times at the factory, and we are improving our efficiencies, and that we will continue to do it. And administration, but at the same time we have to. Last year we had some cut in marketing and administration expenses, but this year we have started these expenses and the brand building again. We can't keep it always on the low. But as far as manufacturing efficiency is concerned, that effort is on.
Sure. So any number that you'd like to highlight, like some percentage of cost that you're permanently able to save now going ahead, say like 10 crores, 15 crores, or that that will be permanently taken as saving going ahead as well.
It is only in the marketing and administration last year we took a cut.
In our permanent nature, so I think I don't see much possibility, but I think consulting, that's what we can say. That is the only item which we cut last year and we are not reinstating.
In manufacturing, we are, even if we can hold our conversion cost, that is a great achievement. That is what we are trying to hold on to it.
Sure. And so one related question to this, I mean, a lot of players are been now talking about, substituting the raw materials with alternative materials which are cheaper and also better quality also. So any kind of process re-engineering also that we have, worked out that you would like to highlight in terms of the raw material side?
We have to be mindful that we have to maintain quality first, other thing afterwards. There is very little possibility of doing little bit juggling of the polymers. But beyond that, people will only sacrifice the quality. So we are mindful of that. Accordingly, we are taking a cautious moves.
Sure. And sir, one last bit from my end is, over the years, if you take a trend from say FY 13 to even FY 2021, we have seen that the EBITDA margin expansion is largely being, led by gross margin. So gross margin is expanded from around 53.5% in 13 to around 57.5% in FY 21. So what further scope do we see of expansion in the gross margin? Or do we think, this is kind of a peak level at this point in time?
No, gross margin definitely there has been an improvement year after year. But this year being a different year, the raw material prices are touching new heights and we took some price increase also. It's really tough how much margin we can.
So not in short term. Actually, I'm not talking about the short term. I'm talking about the next 3-4 years. Maybe what kind of gross margin that you can target going ahead, barring these volatile times.
Long term, definitely we have been adding new product every time. I think 40% churning is in our case. So we add more premium product in each category. So definitely there is always scope to improve the gross margin. And we can see I think, same trend in coming years, long term.
Okay, sir. Thank you. And that's all.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Ankit Kedia from Phillip Capital. Please go ahead.
So you mentioned the e-commerce contribution today is, become 10%. With things opening up and, the contribution remaining same at, double digit, how much this is coming from closed footwear and Sparx and how much is it from open footwear?
Majority is from Sparx footwear, which is around 85 to 90%. And rest is from Bahamas and open footwear.
Sure. And so with the ASP difference, in one of the questions you mentioned that we are not doing price differential. So would the inventory online be similar and fresh inventory, or we are liquidating inventory online?
Majority it is running articles, and very few, maybe you could say less than 10% is the obsolete inventory which we are pushing. So majority is the regular articles.
Sure. And so my second and last question would be again on your EBOs. How many of these EBOs are owned EBOs currently, and over the next 2 years, what is the plan to expand our EBO count in South market as well?
No. For the time being, there is no plan any EBO in South.
Okay. And so how many of the EBOs are owned versus franchisees currently?
Majority are owned.
Okay.
It's I think around 430 we have our own, and franchisee is around 30 and few are COFO, mixed model.
Sure, sir. Sure. That's helpful, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Ashish Kanodia from Ambit Capital. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity, sir. Just on gross margin, I think if I look at the change in inventories, my understanding is that had there been no inventory built up, then the impact on gross margin would have been even higher during this quarter. Is that understanding correct?
You are right. Definitely, the increase in inventory definitely impact the gross margin calculation as far as calculation is concerned. But otherwise, yes, margins has been improving except this 1.5 year, and especially the 2-quarter journey due to raw material prices. So if you just exclude that part, even then there is improvement in gross margin.
Sure, sir. And secondly, what is your internal thought process in terms of where do you, at current RM prices, what is the comfortable gross margin where, the company would like to operate at? And to reach that kind of a gross margin, what is the kind of price hike you will need to take further?
Prices of raw material are still on the rise. Things have not stabilized. And we have to keep on watching from time to time, rather month to month. And we have to then see what is the consumer sentiment, market sentiment, and pass on the price increase. So since things are not stabilized, we cannot comment on that, how the things are going to turn out in the coming months.
Okay. And so, just, I think there was a discussion that, I think the retailers or the distributors might be liquidating inventories because of COVID and all. So is there a difference between the primary sales and secondary sales? So what I mean to say is when I look at the, the growth reported by Relaxo, and if we have to compare that with the actual growth which a retailer or a distributor might have reported, will that growth be higher? And then if that is the case, so as the retailers and distributors starts to rebuild the inventory, then that will ultimately benefit you in subsequent quarters. Is that the right way to look at it?
We have to see once things stabilize, the markets inventory also, at the moment people are cautious in buying. So once things come to normalcy, then only we will know how the things turn out to be.
Okay. And last question is in terms of supply chain, while the RM prices has been higher, but has there been any challenges with the supplier as well, or is the supply at least uninterrupted?
Supply of raw material you're talking?
Yes.
Yes, some of the raw material, even the supply has been an issue, like ethyl vinyl acetate. But it doesn't mean that we have any obstruction in production, but things have been little difficult. That is why, there is inflationary trend. Whenever there is shortage of a material, then only people are, inflation trend becomes much more adverse. In EVA particularly, when the supply has been also restricted, that has added to the problem.
Sure, sir. Sure. That's very helpful. That's all from my side. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Girish Pai from Nirmal Bang. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity again. Sir, during the course of your commentary, you mentioned that there are 2 or 3 different MRPs in the market. How is this a unique position that you're in as we speak today compared to the last 10 years? And how is this impacting your sales, or how is the distributor response to this?
No, you are right. That's the moment, because there have been too frequent increase. But there are so many articles. Every article at retail level can never come to zero stock, then only he will buy the new article. Because some of the sizes, they become short of the inventory. So he has to buy the new also. So that is why there is a mix-up of different MRPs in the market. So it will take some time before things get set right.
Is that responsible for your slower volume growth this quarter?
After all, we told you that people are liquidating their inventory in the system. Whenever there is a price revision, people want to be a little cautious in buying. So that is the we are noticing. The inventory in the supply chain is getting reduced. Distributor sales are better. So his inventory also he is trying to be cautious.
Okay.
So everybody wants to trade with a minimum inventory.
Okay. So a more strategic question. Pre-pandemic, when I look at your ASP and volume growth statistics across, say, 4-5 years before the pandemic, your ASPs haven't grown very much. It's been basically volume growth led. Is that your strategic thought process beyond the pandemic? Is that how you would want to grow? You want to kind of drive volumes and not focus too much on ASP?
No, we are not focusing on what you call it ASP. We are focusing on what category consumer needs. Whatever category trade is requiring, we are offering that trade. Our focus is on building the categories, whether it is Bahamas brand, whether it is Flight, PU, EVA, or Sparks. So, in the historically also 85% has been slipper business also for the company, and that always gets according traction in the market also.
Okay. Sir, last question. Your cash flow from operations seems to be quite bad, at least when I compare for 1H versus the full year numbers. Anything that will change in the second half for the cash flow from operations number to look better than what it was at the end of September 2021?
Any cash flow is bad, I think, from number point of view. Yes, agree. But if you see the number, there is an increase in inventory. That is the main reason for that. And due to inflation, the inventory which we were carrying, so I think 20% is coming from the inflation and rest is the overall increase. So these are the reason being a special situation. But in coming time, definitely it will be back to normal. And there will be comfortable cash from operations.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, you may press star one to ask a question. The next question is from the line of Maithili Balakrishnan from Alchemy Capital. Please go ahead.
Sorry, this is a question which comes possibly at a tangent, but see, currently we are in an environment where raw material prices are going up, but at some point that will turn around and it will start going down. In that time, do we sort of start reducing prices, or do we just reduce prices on new SKUs? And how do we think about pricing in that kind of a scenario?
So, we have to wait and see how the things stabilize, and we have to see how the market situation is there at that time. So we have to be mindful of one thing. We have to be reasonable with the consumer, and that is what goodwill we have built for always.
No, I agree with you. I think. Thanks. That was my question.
Thank you. A reminder to all participants, you may enter star one to ask a question. The next question is from the line of Jignesh Kamani from GMO. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi. Just want to ensure that we have a very high inventory, and as you mentioned, that raw material price is increasing very frequently. So compared to competitor, we will be favorably priced because of the high, I can say, inventory and the inflation going up.
I don't know what is your question. First, I get question. Please repeat it.
So we have a very high inventory, and as you said, still raw material cost is increasing every month. So because of high inventory, probably at a low cost or a current cost, will be favorably placed compared to our competitor?
Yes. Inventory in the raw material, that is always favorable when there is a rising trend. But as far as other finished goods is concerned, we have inventory because there was low demand in the open footwear segment. So, but in the coming time, things will improve on both fronts.
So if there is a price hike, we will get a benefit of that also on the upcoming, right?
There is always a time delay in getting the things, because you have to watch coming month also and trend also, and then you have to take appropriate action. Because there is an unprecedented price increase, entire price increase we have not been able to pass, because otherwise it is, polymer going up by 100% is something beyond imagination. Keeping all this in view, we take appropriate action.
Understood. Secondly, whenever there is a price hike or expected price hike, generally dealer or distributor try to, increase their stock so that they can get a benefit of a lower price product. Are we not witnessing that scenario as of now?
Actually, when we revise the price, we revise the price for MRP also, no? Ultimately, his margin remains same.
Understood.
Rather, he is more cautious to let his inventory be lower, so that when the new price comes, he is able to pass on to the accordingly. Otherwise, if he has an old MRP, sometimes he has to push that article first.
But in the old MRP, probably he may be discount offering to customer will be much lower, right? Compared to a new MRP.
That could be at a retail level. I don't know what kind of discount they'll do. When there are two prices prevailing, then definitely something gets some advantage also.
Understood. Sure. Okay. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. As there are no further questions, I would now like to hand the conference over to the management for closing comments.
Thank you all for joining the call. This is all from our side. Looking forward to join you again. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
On behalf of Motilal Oswal Financial Services Limited, that concludes this conference. Thank you for joining us, and you may now disconnect your line.